Ink Deep by Enchanted Nightingale. Chapter 6. Headaches. Neji continued staring at the group of people that had turned up at his doorstep. He glared at them.
Hyuga Neji, we are Yagami Sanosuke and Mikoto, and this is our lovely daughter Sayo.
The plump man with the impressive mustache said as he pointed at himself, then his wife, a plain-looking woman dressed in impressive and expensive clothes, and lastly his daughter, who looked like a younger version of her mother, a bit prettier, but still not making an impression to him. They were all dark-haired and had brown eyes. Neji also recognized the surname.
Could you please change? Sanosuke demanded of Neji. My daughter and wife are delicate and proper ladies. Then the polite thing to do is invite us in so we can discuss the wedding.
Leave, Neji stated, crossing his arms in front of his bare chest. He pointedly ignored the admiring looks from the man's female family members and merely glared at the man he knew to be a member of the daimyo's court.
Excuse me,
the man spluttered.
I am not marrying your daughter,
Neji stated.
Good day.
He stepped back and closed the door to their faces.
Hiyashi watched the confrontation from his own porch. He knew Harry would be sleeping with Neji, but he had not anticipated that the elders would make their move so fast, or that they would be so crude about it. Neji's rude awakening was bound to have a very ugly reaction from his nephew. He resigned himself to simply observe and hope that Harry would help keep Neji's rage under control. Not that Hiyashi would mind if anything happened to the elders, but he certainly did not want the Hyuga to have the same history as the Uchiha. That would not do. Neji was in a foul mood that day, and Harry was willing to bet it had something to do with the morning visitors. The wizard amused about Hiyashi being right about the elders and their schemes. Also, his lover looked annoyed and ticked off. That was Hetty's cue in all this. Still naked from bed, he entered the kitchen after Neji and slipped his arms around his lover's waist, pressing against the Jonin's back. The heat of his body and the fact that he was still undressed made Neji shudder in his arms. For extra good measure, Harry rubbed his front against Neji, making the long-haired man groan. Harry! I missed you in bed,
the green-eyed man replied. The wizard then unwrapped his arms from Neji's waist and brought them to rest on Neji's hips. He then pulled the pajama bottoms down, and Neji was naked again, and they were skin to skin.
Come back to bed,
Harry whispered against the skin of his lover's nape.
Or, continued rubbing against the shinobi's back, we could just stay here. That table looks sturdy enough.
Neji groaned.
You are going to make me lose my mind.
Harry rubbed circles on his lover's things and started caressing every inch of skin he could reach, trapping Neji against the kitchen counter.
That's a bad thing?
Harry whispered seductively. Neji turned his head, and the wizard took his mouth in a languid kiss.
Here, the shinobi told his lover when the kiss was over.
Harry grinned.
I knew you had a sense of adventure.
He was being followed. It was a feeling Harry knew all too well. The ones following him were doing a good enough job at this. A normal person would have never sensed them, but Harry was a wizard. It did not get any less normal than that. So he played along until he reached his studio. Then he got in and cast a security spell that allowed him to view his surroundings.
There,
he said to himself. It was not one of the Hyuga he knew, but it was a Hyuga nonetheless. The elders were having him watched. Neji was in a foul mood that morning, and Anko was amused by this. Harry not putting out? The Kunoichi teased the Hyuga.
The glare he shot her, followed by a small quirk of his lips, not quite a smirk, not quite a smile, was vaguely unsettling. Oh, Harry and I are having a blast. It's just a few pesky parasites I need to get rid of.
And Neji literally meant get rid of. The past few days, he had been waking up to having the Yagamis at his doorstep. The only thing that had made him not slaughter them so far was the very creative ways Harry had lately taken to waking him up and relaxing him after he answered the door. Neji was not an idiot. He understood that somehow Harry knew about the Yagamis, and the man was up to something. He had also heard from one of the branch members that Hiyashi had paid a visit to his lover at one point. Neji would have been angry if he did not think that his uncle was up to something, and he had roped Harry in as well. It was one plan Neji did not mind blindly following, as so far it had only brought him a lot of pleasure, but even with Harry's ministrations, Neji's patience with the elders was thinning dangerously.
Let's spar,
Neji told Anko, and the purple-haired woman was quick to comply.
Someone tried to kill me this morning.
Harry told Hiyashi over tea. The head of the Hyuga clan crashed the cup of tea in his hand. Harry blinked.
Look what you did now. I need to clean the porcelain fragments from your hand. I'll call the Masami for the first aid kit.
Hiyashi waved Harry's concern off.
I did nothing past the skin. My hands are harder than they look. I do, however, need another cup of tea, and then you will tell me all about the attempt, with details.
Harry nodded.
Failed attempt,
he corrected Hiyashi. The man smirked.
Yes, I imagine that is what matters most.
Neji sensed something was off the moment he stepped foot in his house. He was not surprised it was not locked, as he had been expecting Harry to come by that evening. Still, it was not Harry that was waiting for him when he walked by the sitting room, but Yagami Sayo.
What are you doing here?
Neji demanded of her. He was more than angry at her presence in his house, and his killing intent rose. The girl quivered at the feeling of it, and Neji felt mild annoyance at this. He had seen Harry take killing intent on, both from him and from Unko, and the artist had hardly blinked. But this woman was ready to pass out. It was a bit pathetic in Neji's eyes, and he felt no sympathy for her.
You cannot withstand this much chakra leaking, and you want to marry a shinobi,
he told her. It is meant to be, she told him, voice cracking with fear. Neji scoffed and toned down the killing intent. The last thing he needed was for her to pass out.
I have a lover,
he told her.
You are not needed.
She grimaced at the reminder that he was with a man. Still she spoke. But he cannot give you children. I can, and I am more reputable. I'm a third-rate artist. I can offer you prestige and prosperity.
I make enough money on my own, Neji told her, and I don't care for children.
He did not say that he never thought he would live long into his teens. Those dark thoughts were for him to know, and the people he confided to, namely Harry.
And the next time you say anything derogative about my lover, I will make sure you are never able to walk again. Is that clear? Now get out of my house. My patience has run out. Next time I find you with your parents sniffing around, I will use violence.
Got it? Sayo looked scared at first, but then she gave him a more confident look. You have no choice, and soon you will see this. Then she stood and walked out. Neji was left glaring at her.
She knows something,
he muttered, and he was willing to bet that he knew what she knew. She sounded awfully sure of herself, like there was no competition for her.
Neji's eyes went wide.
Harry was tired of being followed and checking to see what his stalkers would use to kill him next. So far, there had been 2 attempts to poison him, 2 to kill him with projectile weapons, and 1 mild explosion he diffused and contained in time. So, when he was confronted with a masked assailant in his own home, his patience ran out.
Well, looky here,
he said in a fake, cheerful voice. His attacker charged, but the wizard was ready. With a flick of his fist, Harry sent the man crashing to the wall and then back to the ground, before using the wand he always had on him to knock the man unconscious and tie him up.
Hiyashi is going to have fun with you,
Harry mused as he stood over his attacker.
Harry!
The wizard whirled around to see Neji standing at the door, his gaze pinned on the unconscious and bound person on the floor.
What is going on? The shinobi demanded. Oh, this? Just an assassination attempt, a failed one. At that, Harry told him. Nothing to worry about. Someone's going to pay!
Neji bowed.
Come on, he told Harry. You will be staying at the compound for a while before their stupidity is taken too far.
Harry did not argue. Hiyashi was not surprised when Neji stormed into the compound with his lover closely behind.
Harry is staying here,
his nephew announced, and Hiyashi readily agreed.
Of course, Neji,
he told the youth. Then his brother's son turned to Eric, kissed the green-eyed man, and promised to return promptly.
What happened?
Hiyashi asked Harry when the 2 of them were left alone.
Another assassination attempt,
the wizard replied.
I knocked him unconscious and bound him. Neji is either bringing him straight here, or he will take a detour and stop by Ibiki first.
Who was it?
Hyuga,
Harry replied with some reluctance, and Hiyashi felt his ire rise at the elders.
I see,
Hiyashi said.
I know it's not your fault.
Harry hastened to assure the men.
Oh, but it is, Harry. I should have put my foot down years ago. I am confident that my children, Neji included, will manage to do everything I could not do. You do realize that Neji is more likely to maim the elders than talking to them, right?
Yeah, she's right.
I never said that the change will come without bloodshed. You shinobi are weird,
the wizard sighed. It turned out that Neji did bring the man Harry had captured to tea at our headquarters, but not to Ibiki. He had left the man with Anko instead, with a request that when she was done, she deliver the man to the clan. The purple air woman was happy to comply with Neji's demands, and the Hyuga left her in favor of completing the next task, meeting and driving some sense to the clan elders. And that meeting was one they would always remember. Neji visited each and every elder on the council in his or her home, delivered the death threat, and made his point quite clear. Last was his father and uncle's uncle, Hyuga Kirimo, and Neji went as far as to nick the man's throat with his kunai. The deal with the Yagamis is off, Neji told the older man. If you don't stop trying to kill my lover and fob that wimp of a person onto me, I will take a page out of Uchiha Itachi's book. Only with me, they will never find the bodies. Got it? Hanabi and Hinata were pleasantly surprised when they returned that night to the main house to find that Harry was there, and that the green-eyed man had even cooked dinner for the family. Hiyashi had been hovering over Harry's shoulder in the kitchen, and the wizard had tried to keep the man's wandering hands away from the food. Where's Neji? Hanabi questioned the two men. Busy with an errand, Hiyashi replied. He will be back for dinner, he assured his daughter. What did you make? Hinata asked Harry, coming to stand at the wizard's side. Risotto, the green-eyed man responded. Rice, mushrooms, other assorted vegetables, and chicken. Smells delicious, Hinata sighed. I wish I could learn, but I'm rubbish at cooking. I can make tea and a snack, but that's it. Me neither, Hanabi admitted. Well, you are awesome ninja, Harry told the two girls. You intimidate guys enough as it is. Hinata and Hanabi both sighed. If only you were straight, they said together, making Hiyashi shake his head at their antics. Which of you will set the table? Harry asked. I will, Hinata offered. Did you make dessert as well? Hanabi asked the artist. Of course, Harry replied. Good man, Hanabi told him. She left the kitchen to open Hinata. My whole family is smitten with you, Hiyashi told Harry. You have nice daughters, and Neji is amazing, the wizard replied. Hiyashi shook his head. You truly are good for the family. Neji returned from his task just in time for dinner. Harry did not ask him about what he had been up to, but Hiyashi had taken him aside for a few minutes. Hanabi and Hinata listened in. That much was obvious. They had both looked furious at first and shot Harry concerned looks. Then their expressions settled to smugness and a dark glint that made Harry usher them all to dinner. The wizard knew that the two sisters were planning something big that did not bode well for the Hyuga elders, but he could not care less. He just did not want the anger to ruin the wonderful dinner. Harry was particularly attacked by Neji the moment they secluded themselves in Neji's house inside the Hyuga compound. The shinobi was all over the raven-haired wizard, kissing and groping him and generally driving Harry crazy. I could have lost you, Neji told Harry, his voice heavy with emotion. But you did not, the green-eyed artist replied. Doesn't matter, the Byakugan prodigy told him before kissing him again. The dango stand did not have many people that morning, just Harry and Uncle eating dango sticks and drinking tea. So, the woman said. You are going to yell at me, aren't you? The wizard sighed. You had assassination attempts on you? Uncle scowled. Yes, well, I got rid of them. You could have died and no one would know anything. Yeah, she knew. Yes, I had my doubts about that man. Clan heads are vicious people. Harry rolled his eyes. I'll have you know that he actually likes me. I did not say he does not, Uncle told him. His daughters seem smitten with you as well as most of the clan, barring the elders. It's all of a common that rumor. Naturally, only the shinobi know what's going on. What most people are not aware of just yet is that the Hyuga elders were blackmailed as a whole just a few days ago. Yes, Neji was angry, Harry replied. I bet it made for great sex, too, the purple-haired woman slyly commented. Harry smirked. Yes, apparently anger makes him even more creative than usual. Dude, how? We're in public where anyone can hear. Harry refused to go into details no matter how much Uncle pouted and cajoled. Just as long as you know what you are getting into, Uncle told Harry. Like it or not, you are going to be part of the Hyuga clan now. All the savvy people around. I only envy your sex life, nothing else. It's not that bad, Uncle. Yes, now it is all sunshine and roses, but what about heirs? Neji might be smitten, Hiyashi too, but clans need members. active Kunoichi like Hanabi and Hinata are unlikely to procreate. I myself am barren. All the stab wounds to the stomach, kicks and blasts my body had to take, not to mention.
She trailed off, her mind recalling Orochimaru and the cloudy memories she had of that monster's experiments.
Right. Anko sighed. No children for Neji's cousins either. The most prominent shinobi bloodlines are dwindling and dying because of this.
Harry frowned. That sounds bad. Anko shrugged. The wizard had a contemplative look on his face. His hands were twirling his half-eaten dango stick, but his mind was miles away.
Harry?
Anko called out his name. Sorry, too busy thinking. He told her.
Thinking about what?
Anko asked. Harry waved her off. Nothing. So, rumors are floating around the place. Anything interesting?
Anko shot him a look before dismissing her suspicions and starting a conversation about Subjunion's eloping.